My love.
This is a response to a video on ESPN with Mark Ogden and Steve Nicol titled "The End of Liverpool's Dominance."
One of the most famous super clubs was Liverpool, absolute dominant force in the 70s and 80s, multiple European.
The extent of Liverpool's mental edge over all opponents in English footy was only ever matched by one club, and as it happens, pretty soon after, and their respective downfalls marked many similar patterns. There was no mention of this man on the ESPN video, which is a surprise to me because he famously claimed that
knock you off your perch. Off the perch, you can print that.
A delusional and self-venerating act of retcon on which a lot of United's mythology was built and eventually exposed. While we're on about mythology, let's talk about Liverpool, the bastion of invincibility, the original dominators, and on whose achievements, particularly under one of their four great managers, Fergie and United, based their obsession.
So Liverpool, of course, weren't afraid of a bit of self-mythology either, despite what many fans will have you believe about Shankly handing down individual tablets of wisdom direct to the Copites. The success was in reality more a result of a cohesive collective effort by many down the years, including those behind the scenes. And it was when that started being taken for granted and the club started believing its own mythology, it started to fall.
My business career, I've always believed in promoting from within.
There's good organisation and good backroom staff.
The basics are done simply and correctly.
The club's always been bigger than the individual.
Good directors, of course.
We don't talk.
And everyone who works for the club are good at their job.
Sum it up by saying continuity and good players.
Truth is that neither Man United nor Ferguson knocked Liverpool off their perch. If any others could claim credit, maybe it would be Arsenal. But the reality is that Liverpool tiredly abdicated their kingship over the course of about 3 to 4 years around the inception of the Premier League football. Before we continue, we must say there are other more serious setting events which precede Liverpool's decline, and I'm afraid we must start with one of them. Here we are with 10 days that knocked Liverpool off their perch. It may seem in bad taste, but we're not here to minimise the deaths of 39 innocent people in Brussels. What we can say is that in football terms, this was the first European Cup final which Liverpool had lost. And the tragedy at Heysel meant that Liverpool and the rest of English football didn't play in European competition for 5 years. And if you know your history, it can't be separated from the fallout of what happened 4 years later in Sheffield. Without the stigma of Heysel, the UK government and its colluders in the media would have found the cover-up of 1989 and onwards far more difficult to pull off. Respect to all those affected by the disasters at Heysel and Hillsborough. Liverpool don't do this. Liverpool don't get rumbled by massive underdogs on the biggest of stages. Liverpool are the team who scare the shit out of Italian giants in their own stadium to win European Cup trebles.
I don't know what it is, but we love it.
But the year before, the Reds had lost the League Cup final to Arsenal, the first game they had ever lost when Ian Rush had scored. Chinks were appearing in the LFC armour. What should have been the second League and Cup double in 3 years became a humiliation which created a pattern and legacy of final hurdle failure. I'm surprised that the effect of this day is not talked about more. An immediate success in May 1989 was necessary in order to put this right. Liverpool don't lose titles in the last minute. Football itself paled into insignificance, and perhaps that was part of everything this video was about. Many fans never entered the stadium again after the events in Sheffield 6 weeks earlier. Did the result really matter? 36 years later, we can speculate on that. Liverpool were becoming a club that was used to falling at the final hurdle, and importantly, often as overwhelming favourites. It often feels disrespectful to link matters on the pitch to the Hillsborough disaster, but Liverpool as a whole club were just looking tired. Liverpool don't lose semi-finals to recently promoted minnows. ESPN's Mark Ogden cites this game as the one which started it all. It didn't, but as Brian Moore would have said, if this game was won, Liverpool would have played Ferguson's United at Wembley, and I feel United would have won, because the two clubs were already on their soon-to-be historic trajectories. Liverpool had now lost vital matches as massive favourites for the third season in a row. The 9-0 victory over Palace just 7 months previous weaved another thread into this new tapestry of embarrassments which was becoming the norm. Liverpool were increasingly reliant on the brilliance of John Barnes and an ageing squad all over the pitch. But 1990 was to be dominant Liverpool's last Division 1 title. But none of us really saw what was coming. Liverpool managers don't quit in February, top of the league, but looking a little wobbly, with the scars and burdens of 1989 still visible on his face. Even a king has his limits. A few months earlier, Sir John Smith, the chairman who replaced Shankly, Paisley and Fagan, who oversaw the biggest area of dominance of any club in English football history, had also retired. This was starting to feel too different in too many ways. Liverpool don't employ managers from different clubs, but John Smith's mantra of promoting from within retired with him.
They're very, very professional.
Have you got a clear idea in your own mind as to what management team you would like to take Liverpool on from here?
No.
The next Liverpool manager is appointed by a new chairman, Noel White, who would not be in place this time next year. Liverpool don't have 3 chairmen in 18 months. Continuity, right? Nah. Maybe this was an attempt to stay ahead of the curve. Liverpool were finishing second with increasing regularity, but it was going to get a lot worse than this. In just a year from now, the new manager would go on to cause deep, primal divisions in the club and fan base that would take 25 years to truly rebuild. Liverpool don't lose their second game of the season. Liverpool's new star striker doesn't miss a penalty before he scores his first goal. But worst of all, Johnny Barnes doesn't rupture his Achilles tendon and miss the season. No one moment defines Liverpool's fall, but the team derailing and losing its best player in the first week of a vitally transformative period is quite a biggie. Liverpool don't finish 6th. The Liverpool manager's job then makes our greatest ever captain, like our greatest ever player before him, ill. The Liverpool job doesn't send managers to hospital. It's the pinnacle of your career. It's not a poisoned chalice. The manager's job at Anfield requires an almost unique combination of personal and practical skills. Souness would not be the last to take the hope a little too close to his heart. It's a whole new ballgame, everybody. We now got to get used to cheerleaders, baggy shorts, referees in pastel green, building sites behind goals, Richard Keys' wardrobe, and as rival fans are correct to point out, illegal back passes. This is not an unfair observation. Dominant LFC were masters of killing off the game in a way which is unimaginable by today's standards. And the back pass law changed footy at a time when LFC are already struggling to keep pace in a maelstrom of internal and external change. Oh yeah, and Liverpool don't lose their opening game of the season, right? Liverpool don't sell British transfer record strikers after less than 18 months and a disappointing goal return. Players who leave Liverpool don't score 2 goals against us the following week. Even the more modest players who leave LFC don't go on to better things. Players who leave Liverpool quietly finish off their careers lower down the league or in the lower divisions, and if they get to a cup final or 2 before they retire, we all say, "Ah, that's nice, isn't it?" And that's the way it goes. Not anymore. Liverpool managers don't get sacked or leave by mutual consent in January, with the club 21 points off the top of the table in 6th place. We don't expect Liverpool to lose to lower division teams at Anfield, but these were the 10 days that Liverpool fell off their perch. It's all over now. Like the other institutional dependable heroes of my childhood, the Liverpool we knew and loved is gone. Just as I was getting to know him, and things would never be the same again. All I could do now is get the old VHS tapes out and pretend that I was at Rome 84, Wembley 86, and the rest. A team that won its last league title almost by default after losing it in the last minute the year before. A club which won 11 league titles in 17 years, which became so accustomed to winning it forgot the principles which got it there. At the vanguard of innovation, now struggling to keep pace with hungry competitors. A club which inspired players to reach beyond their abilities, now transformed to a graveyard for the country's most expensive flops. Teams which were defined by winning against the odds now fall into pieces at the slightest obstacle. Continuity turns to constant upheaval. Legendary players and heroes who became the in-demand pundits responsible for narrating its weekly demise.
Liverpool's defending was criminal.
A stadium which was a fortress and the envy of all, but started to look dated and tired. And a fan base which fell in love with their own mythology as a comfort blanket against the sad truth of reality. Does any of this sound familiar? I gotta remind you that I'm talking about Liverpool here, my friends, because this was how Liverpool fell off their perch.
Senses purified, freed from desire. Mind and senses purified, freed from desire. Mind and senses purified, freed from desire.